really appreciate it. We're going to be introducing Mike Davis. He's been my mentor in public health and specifically the COPE program for about six months right now.
Yeah, we started in summer.
He has been a wonderful impact on me. Thank you. This program has been a wonderful impact on me specifically. He's going to tell you everything about it, so I don't want to give out too many details, but without further ado, here's Mike Davis.
How are we all doing? That's a little more enthusiastic than I was expecting after a long day of classes. First off, I really appreciate everyone giving me the time and opportunity to come and present about, first and foremost, the program, but also about the personal statement workshop. A little bit about me first before we jump into the program in particular, but I am the regional manager for all of the programs that we have across the Orange County region. So 2 of the main locations that we have close and nearby, which you'll get to see a little bit more in detail of, are Hoag Hospital, which is literally just down the street right here, super easy, super close by, and Kaiser Irvine, which is just up, or technically down the 405 a little bit from here as well. So both are about 15-20 minutes away from here. A lot of unique opportunities for flexible learning, different health systems, structures, things like that. Quick show of hands, how many of you have heard of the program before? That's actually pretty impressive. Yeah, you weren't kidding when they talk about the program a lot here. What have we heard about the program so far? Anyone want to share? Just that the program exists, pretty much. Cool.
I'm actually doing training right now.
Where at?
Hope.
Oh, nice.
So I did it last weekend, and then the test is this weekend.
How you feeling?
I think fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It sounded confident.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly what to expect, so.
A lot of fun. The test takes up the first half of the day, and then the second half you get to know the hospital a little bit more, do some fun tours, learn some cool things, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm excited to hear that. Welcome to the program. We're really excited to have you. What was your name again?
Talia.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. So, jumping back to a little bit of my background, because you're probably thinking, who the heck is this guy? Why is he coming up and talking about personal statements, and what relevance is that? Before I started here as a program manager at St. Joseph Hospital, I was actually in education for about 10 years. I taught K through 12 education, specifically managing extracurricular programs for public speaking and debate. So I did a lot of work with persuasive writing, public speaking, all the things that we need to do in order to make persuasive arguments, which at its essence is what a personal statement is. So I've been able to work closely with Joey on his since he's coming up for the application cycle. And with this most recent one that passed, I think we got 4 of our scholars that I work closely with into their PA, med, or nursing school of choice. I've got about, I think at this point, probably 45 different people that I've worked closely with in some capacity throughout the application process at some point into their school of choice that they've gotten into. So I know a little bit about what I'm doing, so it's not just some random guy in a suit coming up and being like, do this. I promised that I wouldn't tell you something if I wouldn't do it personally myself for my own growth. But jumping into the program itself in particular, quick show of hands, how many of you have gotten started on clinical experience yet? Nice, a couple of us. What are you doing?
EMT.
Nice. Which company, do you mind me asking?
I'm trying to get picked up by Falk right now, but I was working in a fire station back in Town.
Solid. I mean, yeah, Falk is pretty popular. I think that's the most common one in Orange County, so definitely a solid choice. What about you?
I shadowed 2 hospitals back.
I'm sorry?
I shadowed in hospitals back.
Were you shadowing a physician?
Surgery hospital.
Solid. Very cool. So a decent chunk of us probably still need to get our foot in the door, which is really what our program specializes in. So, some of the questions that a lot of people tend to ask in particular is, a lot of us tend to go the medical route thinking that, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be a nurse. But there are so many other different professions and ideas and opportunities that you can get into. I mean, you could be a nurse practitioner, physician assistant. You can determine which type of nurse you want to be. You can be a respiratory therapist, dietitian. There's a plethora of different examples and opportunities that you can get into within the healthcare field rather than feeling limited just because a family member's like, you're going into nursing, and you're like, cool, healthcare sounds fun, but I don't know if that's the right path for me. I just happen to know about it. The age-old question, you know, what do I do after I graduate? Especially with, you know, and we're going to be pretty blunt, this absolutely nightmarish job market that we have right now. I know that it's a very tight market. There's a lot of missing opportunities or a ton of people that are applying for things. So it's really like, what can I do to land and secure that job when I'm ready to start preparing myself? Additionally, trying to figure out what type of setting and environment it is you want to work in, whether it's inpatient where you're doing the 312s kind of shifting and you're doing more of that like routine, or if you're doing the standard 9 to 5s of like an outpatient type setting. And then lastly, where the heck do I even start and what do I do? Because so many of us, a lot of what we hear about is in order to get started on our clinical hours, you have to go get your certification. You have to go do all this training just to be eligible to start applying to jobs. And more often than not, you have to put school on pause or work yourself to the bone while you're doing these things in order to really solidify yourself. And so that's really where our program comes into play. So what we are is we formally call ourselves an experiential learning program. And so a lot of us might be wondering what that means, but really what it is at its core root is your foot in the door in the healthcare field at a flexible and reasonable training and shifting times and hourly expectations. Because a lot of the time, if you go and get a job, they're expecting you to do part-time, full-time, which doesn't really match with a lot of our hectic school schedules. So what our program specializes in is accessibility, ease of access, and realistically, high quality. So a number of reasons for that in particular is you get a variety, I'm gonna look up here, you get a ton of different experience with different healthcare roles with the people that you get to interface and connect with. You're working with a number of different people on the care team, shadowing and observing and connecting, but also you get to go to a ton of different departments. A lot of the times if you're going for like a CNA or MA route, you're stuck in one department and that is your workspace. So you become a really solid expert in the medical telemetry department, or you become a really solid expert in a plastic surgeon's office. We are in Newport Beach after all, so bad joke. So you get a number of different departments that you get to pick and choose and flexibly customize to meet what your interests are, what your gaps are if you're someone that already has been working, so you can really create a flexible and vast, I guess for lack of a better term, network of experience that makes you stand out in comparison to your peers. Additionally, on top of that, we offer a lot of professional development mentorship. The workshop that we're going to do, fun fact, I tailored from scratch, but I built it out specifically to address a massive need that we saw within the Health Scholar program, which is so many of us are academic writers, meaning that we have to do scientific papers. And the writing in that, as we have seen for anyone that has read those papers, can be exhausting. It's a lot of words, it's a lot of fancy terminology and jargon, and it doesn't really lend itself to persuasive writing. And so what we do is we fine tune and identify those areas that need support, build out professional resources and workshops, so that way you can fine tune and tailor your stuff to kind of meet the needs of where you're identifying some gaps. Additionally, we have a number of different resources to prepare you for the career that you want to step into. Educational webinars with a number of different partners. We are partnered with like the University of Puget Sound, which has a great few programs in the medical field. We also have a partnership with Kaplan, who does educational workshops and offers discounts. And then also on top of that, we just recently launched this, which I'm personally really excited about, is we actually have international intensives, which are opportunities for you to pay in and effectively get to travel the world to different areas. Right now we have an intensive set for Japan where you get to go for, I believe, 13 days and get to get a solid understanding with a number of different United States healthcare executives following and walking along to understand the Japanese healthcare system and how we have correlations and how we differ, so we can get a much more holistic perspective of how we can best treat patients. We also have discounts with Kaplan and exclusive benefits when you're applying to a graduate program at Keck Graduate, as an example, if you're pursuing some of those opportunities too. So long story short, our program's pretty awesome to really get your foot in the door. If you're kind of struggling or not sure where to start, this will give you that spring to really identify and streamline where it is that you want to go, but also give you an idea and depth for how you want to be a practitioner and how you want to evolve, get some mentors, get some experience, and really set yourself apart from other people. So what the role looks like, summarizing all of this up in a nutshell, is effectively we train you to do what a CNA can do. So we're training on all of these different patient skills and initiatives such as ambulating, bathing, feeding, repositioning. We also train on vitals, though as of right now all of our hospitals do not allow us to take vitals, but you will learn to interpret and identify them and also how to use the machines effectively in case that does end up evolving at a later point. We have it broken up into what I call our stoplight system. So we have our green light, which is go ahead, do whatever you want, live your best life on that list. The yellow and technically orange one, where you do require staff support or engagement in order to do those things, which all of the tasks over here in general, you need a second person with anyways. And then the red ones, which are a big no-no because that puts you in liability. So really, a lot of people tend to initially compare ourselves to a volunteer opportunity. Quick show of hands, how many of you volunteered at a hospital before? No one? Cool. Volunteering is very simple. You can't interact with anything. You can't touch a patient, you can't touch patient charting, you can't really interact or do anything aside from going around on a unit and be like, hey, can I help you with anything? Oh, you need help with water? Cool, I can get you that. Anything else though? No go. So a lot of people that have gone through a volunteering system at a hospital that has a Health Scholar program, almost always if they're pursuing a clinical route in some capacity, they end up coming to us and saying, you guys get to do so much more than we can. I want to do that and experience that. So we are a very hands-on role. You are actually acting as a core member of the care team, doing a number of these different tasks that really set you up and solidify you to really get that hands-on experience and knowledge and practice to really excel in your role, especially if you are stepping into like a CNA or MA position later on. What we've heard from scholars is all of the testing and the practice is an absolute breeze. So I want to show a few samples of what it is that we offer at our nearby sites. So this is what we call our department tier list, and it's organized into what we call pods or partitions of departments. So you start out here in the very beginning. So you get to work on a number of our different floors for MSTs or medical surgical telemetry units. And then as you get more and more experience, you work your way up. The way that this is organized is every 3 months, you gain a number of different hours of experience. So that first month or that first rotation, you're getting 48 hours of experience. Once you complete that, you get to tell us and say, hey, I want to shift here next. And then we'll do what we can to work that out. So you get the opportunity to literally pick and choose and plot your own course of how you want to evolve through our system and how you want to get experience. One cool thing as well that I want to note is in our program, once you complete the program, you get a graduation certificate from UCLA's Fielding College of Public Health that certifies your, it's a mouthful, your certification in pre-licensed clinical care and patient experience. You get access to that upon reaching 280 hours through the program, which combines your training hours and your floor hours in particular that you've shifted, all of which count as clinical hours for anywhere that you're applying. The only exception is some PA schools. Just want to put that as a disclaimer for anyone that is asking, but if you want to know if it would apply, you can definitely come up and ask about it. So the eligibility, as you get more experience, bumps up and gives you that flexibility, but also once you reach the hours within the program, it's not like we boot you out and say, go on and have fun, do something else. I've had scholars stay upwards of over 1,000 hours. There was someone 2 rotations ago at my hospital that graduated with a little under 1,600 hours for her program that she used for the bulk of her PA school application. Talked about a lot of her experience there. So it's a very flexible and customizable program depending on where you want to go, how you want to shift, and how long you want to stay in the program for. These are our departments over at Hoag. The ones in parentheses are the departments and where they're located. So there's 2 locations. We have, funnily enough, the Newport Beach location is down here. but the Irvine location is actually right across the street from Kaiser Irvine. So either way, you're gonna be going to that area down the 405 a little bit. But there's a lot of flexibility for what it is that you wanna do, how you wanna learn, professionals you wanna connect with, et cetera, et cetera. Additionally, on top of that, we provide opportunities for leadership and engagement as well for you to really establish yourself in your role and position in the field. So we have a number of different branches that you can participate in depending on how you want to develop and bolster yourself, either as an area to pursue interest in, connect with staff members, things like that, or if you want to professionally develop in something specific. So the different departments we have are the administration department, which oversees a lot of our clearance items and documentation that we need in order to effectively be compliant with the California Department of Public Health, making sure that records are up to date, that we're communicating with staff members at the hospital, things like that. Departments are you basically being the BFF for all of the units that we work on. So your job is going to be working closely with all of the staff members there to make sure scholars are doing their job, that scholars are having a good time and they're learning a lot of experience, and that we're guiding them and mentoring them to get that experience, but also making sure that people are following along with their track. So you're helping out and supporting and coaching people through the process. We have our projects teams, which does special projects as needed, our enrollment team, which helps bring scholars into the program and walk them through the process of getting everything up to date. Our recruitment team, which does things like I'm doing right now, going out to campuses, connecting, making new BFFs, things like that. And then training, which is educating and providing resources for the new scholars that are coming in to make sure they're in tip-top shape. Well, some of the benefits in particular is leadership looks fantastic on resumes and in interviews as well. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of is more and more people are starting to stack their resumes because it makes them competitive in getting into med school, nursing school, et cetera, et cetera. However, what's happening a lot of the time from my observation and working closely with people in the field is once they get into the interview process, they don't have depth. And what I mean by that is a lot of people have a really stacked resume, but they'll ask questions of, tell me a time that you experienced adversity. And then you're like, I don't know, I just did these things. And then you're like, okay, well, this person doesn't have the experience, even though they have 18 different things on their resume. The leadership opportunity really allows you to define yourself and get that depth and experience, which you can have us talk about in letters of recommendation. As you continue through the program and become more experienced, you can apply for reduced shifting. It also makes an opportunity for you to impact the scholars within the program and make a difference for the people that are going through it too. So it's a really great opportunity to build out that depth, get a lot of really solid experience, and have something that you can use as a talking point to really excel in your application pipeline. So the details about the program in particular, because we do offer specifically the training, the certification, all of the benefits through the program, it does come with a cost. However, in order to supplement that cost, just because we know the reality of things right now is, even though it's a few $100, that's still a lot of money for college students. It's not lost on us. So we have deferred payment options where you can break it down into smaller, more digestible chunks. The way that this works is we have our one-time flat tuition fee. You pay that upon entering or completing your application and interview within the program. So you can submit that payment, and then it denotes about how long it would take for you to complete that program if you're following the track trajectory. So for our standard program, which is our 15-month program, what that looks like is you're doing 1 4-hour shift per week, or a total of 4 shifts per month. You get to schedule that at your general convenience with what fits your schedule best. So you really get customizable flexibility with what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you're doing the 9-month program, you get 2 departments assigned to you instead of just 1, and you're picking up 2 shifts per week instead of just that 1 shift. And then if you're doing the 3-month track, which I generally don't recommend unless you're doing like a summer internship type program, or you're in a gap year and you don't have a lot going on yet, you would do this one and you're picking up 5 4-hour shifts per week, or for a total of 21 shifts per month. I know there's one extra, we're terrible at math, don't judge us too harshly on it. But one thing I do want to note is once you meet this expectation, like I said earlier, it's not like we kick you out. You reach the 15-month mark and we're like, be gone. You get to stick around as long as you want. You can adjust the track as needed to drop down if you end up doing the 3-month schedule and you're like, I started school and it's a lot. You can reduce as you need to. The prerequisites that we need for the program is pretty straightforward and simple. The only major things that we require is a 2.5 minimum GPA and being over 18 years old, which I believe all of us are because we're in college right now. Unless we have some prodigies in the audience, in which case congratulations. I need to learn from you a little bit. But one of the things that we really pride the program on is its accessibility and trying to create that opportunity for people to get their foot in the door. So we provide all of the training that you need in order to excel. You just need to make sure that you're on top of your stuff and that you're following our compliance rules, which is making sure that you have all of your background clearance and your health screening done, which is all of your vaccinations and things like that to make sure that you're not going to contract anything or spread anything in the hospital. And then making sure that you have health insurance on you so that way if you do get injured, you're able to get covered. Some of the locations, these are our 3 locations in the Orange County area. We have a 4th one in particular that isn't listed here, but it's our Kaiser Permanente Orange County location. So with that one, we have a number of different ambulatory sites, which that means like anything before you get into the actual hospital. So any outpatient clinics like urgent cares, I believe we're trying to expand to radiology and physical therapy for people that might be interested in PT/OT route. Things like that, urgent cares, emergency departments, et cetera, et cetera. For KPA, or Kaiser Permanente Anaheim, Kaiser Irvine, and Hoag, those are also all some of our locations that are located nearby as well too. So if anyone's commuting from a little bit further north in the county, we have some opportunities available for you too. So some things to keep in mind just for updates on this, and then I'll open it up to any questions or curiosities. We do have an early bird deadline coming up on the 15th of October. If you apply before that deadline, what it guarantees is you are guaranteed an interview. So that way we pass you through, get you set up and good to go. If you do not meet that early bird deadline though, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get an interview. It just means that you may be subject to getting screened out earlier. That deadline for this next coming rotation is going to be on October 31st. The training days that we have 3 separate training days. It's up from 2 when you trained, but it takes place on weekends because that's when we're able to actually get you shifting inside of the department. So you actually get to train in a unit in particular. That takes place over 3 weekends. They're 10 hours a piece, and then you get set up and good to go. The first 2 training days are going to go over a review of the materials you need, and then the third one is testing and introductions to the site. And then lastly, once you complete that, you would have a formal start date of January 1st. Though for some sites, if you complete clearance early, we may get you started a little bit early during that winter break session. I know I did a lot of info dumping. I'm gonna pause here to see if there are any particular questions, curiosities, insights, concerns, what have you.
I've already started on the application and it was just picking like, oh, which hospital do you want to like possibly work in. Will there be a fee, cause I know like once like school happens and depending if you pick the 9-month, you'll have summer break or spring break. Would there be an opportunity like to switch which hospital? Is that a
Yes.
fee?
Yeah, there is a small administrative fee associated because we may have to re-administer a background check depending on which hospital you're going to. However, for example, if you're transferring for one of our local Kaiser sites, we usually, don't tell my boss this, but I normally waive the fee for that one since you're transferring inter-system. But generally speaking, there is a fee associated with it just because we have to do extra work on the back end to do that. But if you were, hypothetically speaking, you go to school out of state and you're going home for the summer, you can go on what's called a leave of absence for up to 110 days, taking a full pause with no repercussions or anything like that. And you can take a leave of absence up to 180 days. You would just require retraining on that. So it's super flexible, so you can kind of pause and then, live your best life and then come back and continue shifting.
And then would you be restarting your clinical hours or?
No, all of those are transferable. Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, curiosities?
Do you have any NorCal hospitals that you guys are associated with?
Little spoiler, our director is actually up there, I believe, signing a contract right now for Santa Clara.
Oh.
So knock on wood, we've been trying to get something up in the Bay Area for a long time. So we might actually be breaking ground with that as we're speaking right now. So fingers crossed, begging, pleading, very excited for that one because Santa Clara is awesome. We saw a preview of some of their departments and it's pretty dope. Big fan.
Do you guys have any connections with like UCI's like what's it called? Completely lost track of that. But it's like PR tech. Do you guys have any connections with those types of jobs?
So we have connections with a lot of local colleges and universities, which is how we do a lot of our advertising and connecting for things. So we do get opportunities to kind of interface with like the career specialists and the academic advisors and things like that, which we can use to get introductions. However, when it comes to formal like connections, I don't know with UCI off the top of my head. However, one of the things that we do provide is opportunities for you to get practice with reaching out. So you can honestly, like Joey's done this plenty of times with scheduling time with me to be like, hey, I have a thing that I need help with. I'm not sure how to, in your example, network or how to reach out to this person. We'll walk you through the process of how to effectively do that so you can best position yourself for it. So even if we don't have that connection, we'll teach you how to make that connection and have you be kind of the pioneer, which candidly speaking looks pretty solid for people. So, yeah. Sorry to be the bearer of neutral news on it. Any other questions, thoughts, curiosities? Pretty straightforward. Cool. If you're interested, we have a super handy dandy Instagram page. I don't know if we have a TikTok yet, but you can look it up and see if we have something. I know Instagram is for people my age right now. But if you're interested in following, there's a lot of opportunities for like deadlines, the intensives coming up, things like that, so you can learn more, see about what it is that scholars are doing. I think this week we just posted something about our UCI club. So we have clubs at different college campuses. So if you're wanting to start a potential club to celebrate Coke Scholars, definitely work with us on that one. No pressure though, obviously being a corporate shill on it. But some of the testimonials in particular, just because it really speaks volumes to the experience that you're getting. It's a really great way to get work in the clinical field across a wide range of specialties. Getting that firsthand experience is fantastic. There have been a lot of people that have gotten to watch different procedures, build connections with different physicians that really open up doors and opportunities for you to get that extra step of exposure that you may not have previously. And most importantly, in my opinion, it really lets you know early on if the medical field is something that you're interested in. There have been many people that I know, I think 2 of them actually went to Vanguard, funnily enough, that joined the program, did a couple months of shifting, and they were like, healthcare ain't for me. Like, no go, I'm done, don't want to do this. Because it is a lot. And a lot of times the way that people really figure that out is they invest a couple $1,000s into their certification programs. They spend all the time, money, and energy, and then they make that investment, and then they're like, healthcare is kind of rough. And they don't want to do it anymore. So this program is great because it's a really easy and simplistic way. Yeah, take care. To get your foot in the door and figure out, is this something that I'm passionate in, without having to invest your time, blood, sweat, and tears, and energy and finances into something that may not pan out. Additionally, we have people that are invested in PA school. For a lot of them, it's their first working experience and time getting into this. Get to shout out for procedures. And then one of the really cool things that I like about this in particular is, like I said, when I first joined the program, I came from a background of education, so I wasn't entirely sure about going into healthcare. I just knew that I fangirled over it because I thought medical procedures and medical knowledge was really freaking cool. I was a psych major and wanted to get into the clinical field, but funnily enough, ran into the issue that a lot of us are probably facing, which is, I don't know how to get clinical experience. And so what happened was I never got to pursue that field, so I ended up writing a lot about different medical procedures and innovations and breakthroughs and things like that through my speech and debate experience. Fast forward to this, I entered and I had no idea what I was doing. So I got to connect with a lot of our leaders at the site when I first started. And one of the questions that I got to ask was, what's one of the most impactful experiences you've had throughout the program? I went in expecting people to be like, I got to shadow this physician and see this cool surgery. Like, I got to see an open heart surgery. I got to see all this fun stuff. which is all true, but I was expecting those experiences of like, I got to see some super cool things, connect with professors, physicians, et cetera, but every single person, which was almost 30 people in the leadership team that had been there for a long time, 100% of them, when I asked them that question, all talked about an impactful experience that they had with the patient. And in that ability to connect and engage, they realized that they had the ability to change a person's experience within the hospital. Because, you know, I think it's not too far of a stretch to say if someone had to go to the hospital, they wouldn't be excited to be there. A lot of people are pretty devastated. It's not a fun environment. Most people are trying to survive. And what happens is a lot of people can really get the soul sucked out of them by being in that experience. And every single leader that I connected with talked about a time when they were able to turn around an experience and create a profound impact and connection with a patient that they had. And that's one of the best things about this program in particular, is that opportunity to change someone's experience from being devastating or soul-sucking or a debilitating process into something that inspires hope and change and growth. Then lastly, with nursing school, this is a really great and safe opportunity. I like this testimony a lot because, quick show of hands, how many of you have ever had a job before or been in a professional environment? Decent chunk of us. A couple of us aren't raising our hands. This might be the first time that we're doing that. This program is a very safe place to make mistakes because you have people that are program managers like me, or people that are leaders that can come in and step in and offer you guidance and support when you make a mistake and be like, cool, that didn't work. What can we do to improve that? And instead of, you know, you going in and doing that in your first professional environment, you go in and do that a job and they're like, get out, you're fired. Because that sucks. We don't kick people out because of unprofessional behavior. We look at it as an opportunity to coach and mentor and develop. So that way, in my philosophy, when you go into the program, you leave being the best applicant you can be moving forward. So we mentor, we coach, we develop. And the best part is all of the staff members know you're learning too. So they see that and are like, cool, maybe that wasn't the best way to do it. Let's work on this a little bit more. So that way we can really develop and build ourselves and bolster that confidence and bolster that experience. So that way you can come out on top and say, yeah, all those things you're mentioning in the CNA program that I'm taking right now, I've done those already. I know what I'm doing. I know how to write an email. I'm chilling. You would be surprised there are a lot of people that still don't know how to write an email. And then one thing as well too is this one really highlights the opportunity that they were able to make an informed decision and develop themselves in a field that really captures their interest rather than kind of like waiting around and figuring out and seeing what it is that they're looking to do. And so a really big factor of that is it reduces the amount of time that you're looking to apply for these programs. A lot of people have gotten into their program of choice on the first round because they've gotten a wide variety and depth of experience that makes them stand out for their application. So if you have any questions or you're even interested in signing up, this is our QR code. It is low commitment, low pressure. It just takes you to our website saying, I would like to hear more and I'm interested. At any point, if you sign up and then you figure out it ain't for you, you can also shut up and go away. It's very low pressure, low commitment. I'll cry a little bit on the inside if we get that, but I'll live. And if you have any questions in particular, like you think about it and you're like, hey Mike, I actually have 18 different questions and I'm not sure what I want to do or how I want to go about this, you can always feel free to text or call me, and I'm happy to be a resource. I will note that since I've stepped into the regional manager position, I've been a lot busier than I prefer, so give me a couple days to respond sometimes, sorry Joey, to really make sure that I can answer the questions. But I'm more than happy to be a resource so that way you can know that this program is the right choice for you. But yeah, if there are any last minute questions, curiosities, I'm more than happy to answer them. Or, do we want to take a little break before we jump into the workshop, or do we want to jump straight into it?
We can definitely take about a 5-minute break.
Cool.
What time is it now? Come back at 4:50. It's like 3 minutes now. All right, come back at 4:50.
Well, does anyone need a break? We don't have. Okay.
I need a break.
Okay. Perfect.
I need to pull up the slide.
Do you mind if we record that last section, the personal statement section?
I would prefer not since it's proprietary information, but if it's absolutely necessary
the
for some
workshop
people, or
about?
if you're emailing.
It's gonna be personal statements. So part of like applications for graduate schools, you have to like
Specifically a
write
private
personal
channel?
statements. That's one of the main portions.
Where you're-
If it's
So
like
it's gonna
communication
be-
based.
If you either have a personal statement already
yep, you
drafted,
can
you
say no.
could ask about help with that, or just like learn
Cause you're
like
also the regional manager.
look
I
Yeah,
respect
I'm gonna
that.
say
Okay,
no,
thank you.
just because this is proprietary information on it, it's like, I'm already kind of like,
Yeah, I get you. You're
since this is specifically for Coke Scholars, but I like the club here, y'all are awesome, so.
Was the original one, the.
Yeah, this is
intro
just our
program?
intro, or our info session, that's easily districtable,
Okay.
so, yeah. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.